What's up, you guys? Welcome to Fightful. It is April 19th, 2025. I am Sean Ross Sapp. This is your post-WrestleMania show, night one. We brought back a familiar face from the OG days of Fightful. After a week like this, I thought to myself, you know what? I do a lot of solo shows these days, but I'll be running out of gas. And if there's anybody that has gas to a troubling degree, it is Jeff Hawkins. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Doing my EO Sky impression.
Oh, nice. Well, my friends, leave a thumbs up on this video. Drop your fruit emojis in the chat, by God. But we're about to bring you more exclusive behind-the-scenes news than anywhere else in wrestling, courtesy of FightfulSelect.com, the best $5.99 a month in the business. We had a big WrestleMania scoops thread today. If you are into Jelly Roll, well, I'll be damned. We're the place for you because we had that scoop. Living Color had the scoop. A band that's going to appear tomorrow night, you boys got it. We had updates on Bayley, on Rey Mysterio, and we had an update after the fact on WWE and AAA, which we are about to talk about momentarily. But if you want to get your question or statement read on the air right now, send a super chat or a humper chat here on YouTube. If this is your first time joining us on YouTube, we got a bunch of interviews. We have a bunch of event footage in the short section. We have short info docs, and we are here quite literally every night except for Sundays usually, doing reviews of Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Collision, TNA, all that good stuff, and all the PLEs. And you're going to get a whole bunch of weekly news shows. Andrew Zarian, Grapsity, myself, all do weekly news shows on Fightful. You can also go to our shorts tab. Joel Pearl has been on the scene, delivering a lot of great content over there. But by God, we're here right now. And I want to hear from you guys. Jeff, this afternoon, before WrestleMania, there was a bit of news that started to emerge. WrestleVotes had revealed that WWE was going to do a show with AAA, Worlds Collide, which seemed at the time like very much like just an answer to Arena Mexico, AEW, and CMLL. Then they go on the air for the kickoff show, and WWE's like, well, yeah, but also we've bought the company. We've purchased the company.
AAA.
Which I had no idea was coming, and I saw some people try to dunk and say, well, y'all didn't know this one. Hell no, I didn't know this one. I just launched Fightful Espanol last month. Let me live. But since then, I've talked to some AAA talent, and they're like, well, we had kind of heard stuff for a while. They're like, but we didn't think it was a reality. We didn't think it was really going to happen. They said since the TKO merger, that stuff really started to pick up, but it had been like rumored. Now, this was a bit surprising to me, Jeff, because WWE has not been in library or asset acquisition mode in a very long time. And so this surprised me a bit.
Yeah. And from my I have limited knowledge of AAA. I'll occasionally watch it because I'm in Los Angeles and it was on all the time. But I had read that the Peñas would never sell. Now, do you know if this is a full sale or if this is just a percentage?
I don't. And
sale?
I talked to 3 talent immediately after it happened, and all 3 said the same thing, that they thought that they would be shocked if total control was relinquished. Now, obviously, this is talent speculation at this point, and I am not going to pretend to be a Lucha Libre aficionado. I will defer to the lucha blogs of the world and people I've read since I was a literal child, as they cover that beat way more than I could ever dream of. But still, I mean, I was quite surprised by this.
Yes. It's interesting though, because they've been making the investment in Noah in Japan. They've made the investment in AAA, possibly bought it out there. Perhaps this is strategy on the company's part, whereas, we don't really want to create a whole new like WWE UK or NXT UK that they had prior. We're just going to kind of fill in an existing company out there and kind of fill it out in our image and cultivate talent from those areas and perhaps even do a show for the local markets there as well. I think this might be a new strategy on the company's part.
And for a while, I've heard people say, well, why haven't they bought TNA? When are they buying TNA? And just from my perspective and what I've learned, I don't see the benefit outside of a library. And even then it's like, okay, well, how are you going to monetize that library? Clearly they have some sort of deal set up with Google and YouTube where they get some sort of advanced cut because they are they're a mastodon on that platform. They're gigantic. But it seems like WWE is all too happy to just monetize their library coming up via vaults like that. Would that justify the sale price of TNA, considering what I have heard that Scott D'Amore offered to pay it? I don't think so. And people are like, well, what about their talent? And I say, what about their talent? The talent that they can already use whenever they want without paying them a full salary and then sign them immediately? I don't believe TNA owns any rings or a ton of production equipment. I'm pretty sure they rent that and have since like the Nashville like warehouses closed and all that. I'm pretty sure. And then people say, well, they can get TNA and get it on a better network. And I'm like, why would they do that? They just started Evolve and LFG and got them TV deals. They could just do what they can start their own. So that one's going to be one to watch out for, because even UFC, Jeff, like they used to buy up like WFA and Strike and Pride and all that stuff. And then when Endeavor took over, they really leaned out of that. Now they have a lot of stuff on Fight Pass, but UFC doesn't put everything on Fight Pass anymore. WWE doesn't have a network to put everything on anymore. They are in the licensing business these days. So I'm very interested in this. And obviously we're going to find out more, but if you guys have any questions, we'll continue to answer those, because this will be a topic that gets brought back up throughout the show. And another topic.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to comment. TNA is good for NXT because they can send the kids over there to work in another place where there is a fan base that's rabid for that product, and poach who they want. You put this on correctly. This is something I didn't bring up. This could be just to poach what they want out of AAA, get some footage of some kind, and then be on their merry way. Because I mean, the politics of working in Mexico against CMLL,
sure,
are going to be very interesting, especially with who CMLL works with. And
CMLL is very successful. They got money, but like WWE it's how much does WWE want to invest in this? And again, what sort of interest do they have in it? Is it complete? Is it partial? Is it a cash infusion? It's hard for me to believe that WWE would get too involved with something without there being a financial upside these days. But maybe this is them going in a different direction, because it seemed like they were in maximize profits mode for the last year and a half, judging by the canvases we saw tonight, especially.
Yeah. I don't see it as a growth opportunity for them, though, necessarily. I just see it cash infusion, see what they can do with it, see if you can disrupt the market a little bit and cause some trouble for AEW.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, pull out and get told that you ruined Mexican wrestling.
Well, if you want to pull out and get told that you've ruined things and want a growth opportunity, you can check out our friends at bluechew.com/Fightful, which we will be telling you about at the conclusion of tonight's main event. Also, Bailey. Oh man, this was something. Parker Hines says,
"Damn, what is going on? Tell me."
Oh man, Parker Hines says, is her time in WWE over? She signed a multi-year deal towards the end of 2023, so no. Juan says, could Bailey being left off the card be retaliation for her picture with Willow? Absolutely not. And if it was, I would immediately ask for my release. But it's not. It's not. These people are adults. They take pictures together, and good luck telling these adults that they can't. This had been planned for a little while. I didn't know that until today, and I was like, really? KE775 says, are they really going to redo the Jade, Naomi, Bianca story with Bailey, Becky, Lyra? They can't be that lazy, right? Well, I will point you to a point that I will make on this card often. Yes, they can, and they are that lazy. This show should have had Bailey versus Roxanne on it anyway. They should have had Roxanne built up this whole time from the Rumble, and you should have seen, it should have been the mirror match. You had Tiffany and Charlotte coming out wearing the same clothes. Bailey and Roxanne should have worn literally the same gear tonight, and Roxanne should have beaten her. I was disappointed by this. Lyra's got a day to find a new partner, and I honestly think that it might lead to some it will lead to some backlash. And beyond that, Lyra shouldn't be competing for the tag titles anyway, Jeff. There's a million things wrong with this.
I agree. I was looking forward to Bayley and Roxanne as well, especially if Roxanne came out with the hugger stuff. That would have been also awesome, I think, as a cool heel move. But I was excited. I was anticipating, and then all of a sudden it flipped to this tag team thing, and I went, okay, what's going on there? And now it's this. And yeah, it feels like a Becky return to me. Although they could just do the story of Becky turns on Lyra there too. I mean,
yeah. Oh, man. Tim says WrestleMania Night 1 was good, but I think Stand and Deliver was better overall. Stand and Deliver was a phenomenal show.
Yes.
That tag match was so good. Oh, boy.
Hank and Tank over-delivered, I thought, on that tag match. It was great.
More husky guys wearing jerseys. It's like, I look at them and I see Public Enemy if Public Enemy were like way better. And I'm like, hell yeah, do that. And Shawn Michaels is like very transparent. Like I've asked him in the past, like, it seems like you reuse a lot of your storylines. And he goes, oh, that's because I do. He's like, if they worked for me, I figure it's been 30 years. They might work for one of these kids. And he's very transparent about that. But
I'll give you another act. 3-minute warning. Also wore jerseys and were husky guys.
Did not get, like, today. Imagine that team today.
Oh yeah.
Like they would be fantastic today. Joseph Morris says if WWE takes the belts off Liv, I will be pissed. I mean, listen, the show should have Becky and Lyra Intercontinental title, Roxanne Bayley singles, and then some other team against Liv and Raquel. But that's not the way that they went.
Here for the Secret Harvest versus Liv and Raquel. If we wanted to do that, that'd be fun.
FightfulSelect.com, the best $5.99 in the business today. I went live at 12:30 Eastern, guys. I'm going to go live again tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern. We had the match order, producers. We had the Jelly Roll scoop. A lot of y'all were asking about Trump. I called authorities in Las Vegas to get you guys answers on Fightful Select. We had Rhea and Bayley updates, lots of stuff like that. But by God, I want to tell you all about NordVPN.com/Fightful, because whether you're in the States enjoying WrestleMania, you're in AAA in Mexico enjoying AAA, maybe you're taking off over to the UK for Forbidden Door, get NordVPN.com/Fightful. When you're traveling abroad or anywhere else, lets you listen to all your favorites. But here's why I like it, and here's why you'll like it. I was able to watch tonight's show on Peacock and Netflix. Usually, you're only allowed like 2 views there. Like you're only allowed 2 Peacock streams. I was running multiple. Had one in my studio PC, my office, and downstairs, sometimes on my phone. I changed my virtual location, and I'm able to watch WWE PLEs, SmackDown, NXT, and Raw all on Netflix. If you are cutting out cable, I'm sure WWE and USA Network don't want us saying this, but your NordVPN subscription for 2+ years will cost you less than a month of YouTube TV. And it keeps all of your files safe and encrypted. They got a password manager, all that good stuff. You can get pay-per-views at the price that they pay overseas. They ain't charging people in the UK the same price they're charging us to watch shows at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Save yourself some money. Listen, this is tariff-proof, my friends. Get NordVPN.com/Fightful. And if you say the thing that I said, which is like, I don't know if I'll be able to use this. I don't know if I'll know how to function it. 24/7 customer support and a 30-day money-back guarantee, as I just punched my mic violently in excitement.
I used the Fightful code for my NordVPN. I also highly recommend it.
Denise gave me a trick that her husband uses with NordVPN.com/Fightful. During football season, they do have cable, or they just have like broadcast. He's able to switch his virtual location and then watch the local channels to see the NFL games, which is a nice trick. Mike Straw Media, who's been doing our Fightful Presents videos, the most recent one on Sonny Siaki, who gave up his wrestling career to save his brother's life. He said, did something feel off tonight with you all? A standard pay-per-view rather than a WrestleMania feel. It was a WrestleMania 2 night feel to me is what it was, but it wasn't like this one night is the biggest night of the year. It didn't feel like that.
There was a low bar, I thought, on this show. It only needed to do two things for me. And once I saw the order using Fightful Select, the best $5.99 in the business, you just needed the Jey Uso win for the yeeting, and you just needed that main event to be interesting. And everything else was cake if it was just standard fare. Now, I'll agree, it wasn't. I didn't come out of it like night one of Los Angeles a couple years ago, which was one of the best nights of Mania ever. But I use the word cromulent a lot because I'm a Simpsons fan. It was fine. It was even good at times. There wasn't anything that I hated on this show at all. There wasn't anything I can be overtly negative about. There are things that were maybe off. I think off is a good word.
Sure.
At times, but overall, this did what it was supposed to do, I thought.
Frank M in Las Vegas says, I didn't hate the PLE, but so much of it felt like Raw and SmackDown. The main was great. Loved Night and Fatu, but nothing else felt like Mania. I disagree. I thought a lot of this felt like Mania. I thought War Raiders and New Day felt like Raw. I thought, a lot, the LA Knight, Jacob Fatu felt like SmackDown. But we'll get to those individually because I think there's a lot of things they could have done that could have adjusted that. DJ Cass says, hey guys, it's good to see you. AML referee training is going good. Hell yeah, man. I love hearing that. I remember you telling me that you were doing that. He said, I thought tonight's show was good, but I think night 2 might be better. I am also looking for night 2 to be better. Yeah. You got the big triple threat. You got, the big main event. There's a lot of good stuff to look forward to tomorrow.
Definitely.
Well, let's talk about what opened this show. He hates being on camera. This Triple H fellow. he
hates taking credit. He hates being in charge.
It needs to be a bit where it looks like somebody's pushing him out of Gorilla to go out there. So, you guys. This
is a dated reference, but he needs to pull a Joe Besser. Oh, stop. I don't want to go out. I'm shy.
Yes, that one. He did the intro video too. Now, I've often heard people say, well, it's because he wants to appear indisposable, but I understand that, but usually we get a celebrity intro, it feels like for these WrestleManias. Were you surprised that he did it? Not that coming out there and saying, welcome to WrestleMania, just the intro video itself.
I think so. I actually enjoyed the Dana White Las Vegas video before that too for the Mania kind of build thing, but it's one of those things where I think it's also part and parcel strategy of forget Vince. I do. I think this is no longer his company. This is my company. Remember this. I'm in charge. There's nothing wrong with that strategy necessarily. And plus, since Tony Khan is kind of the face of his company, I think it also kind of drives Triple H to kind of be the face of his company a little bit.
Well, I mean, Tony Khan also known as the face of NXT now as well, apparently.
Oh, God. Yes.
Throughout tonight, we're going to give you guys betting odds and results from BetOnline AG, our wonderful partner. You can deposit with crypto, get VIP rewards, bet big with high limits and rebet functionality, and get the fastest payouts. Please only bet what you can and bet responsibly. You can compare their competitors. They're trusted by millions. I give you guys a lot of tips. We went 6-1 tonight, which I am very proud of. Payouts in minutes, and one of those picks that we got right was Jey Uso as the favorite beating Gunther. Now, I feel like they should have added a prop bet and probably will next year. How long will Jey Uso's entrance be? Because, my God, it was 5 yeeting minutes, Jeff.
Randy Orton and The Undertaker were going, hey, come on, let's go.
Yeah,
we got stuff to do here. Come on.
Woo. I mean, listen, this was always the way to start the show. Jey Uso won, and we'll get into the intricacies of it. But on every prediction show that I did, I think I joined Con Man, I joined Denise, I joined a lot of people. Me and Jimmy did it. I said, this is WWE. And they want 50,000 people yeeting their britches here in Las Vegas because they want it to look like a party. They want everybody who did not pay $234,000 to go to this show to say, damn it, I'm going to sell an organ and I'm going next time. That's what they want. And they made it look like a big party. Not surprised by this.
I thought this was going to be the end. When the Royal Rumble was over, I envisioned a lot of blue lights, maybe some glow-in-the-dark blue glasses, and a lot of yeeting lights going up and down, up and down.
Yep.
And that was going to be the end of night one. That's the other interesting thing about this other night one is that both Rumble winners were on the same night and neither were in the main event.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I think they should stick to that stipulation if they're going to put it up there. If you're just going to say you get a title match, I'm cool with that, but don't tell them you're getting a main event and not going back. But yeah, and I think they sometimes underestimate because they're planning this out in an empty stadium.
I have always
how long it's going to take to get there.
I've always thought that like one of the stipulations of the Rumble should be you get a main event of your choosing at WrestleMania. But now that they have 2 nights, like you're going to monopolize one with the other, and it wouldn't always work that way. I thought this match was fine. They played the hits. Jey Uso played some of Gunther's hits as well. Mm-hmm. I popped for the power bomb of Jey Uso. Like, I love that he did that. This was actually, I'll take that back. If this match happened in 1985 or 1986, it would have been the best match on the show by far.
Yes.
Because those matches were ass. But like, this is like it felt like a 96, 97-ish match with Gunther powdering out quite a bit. I thought Gunther was so smooth with the belt shot as well.
Yes.
On Jey Uso. There was a lot New Day as well, but this started really slow. And I wasn't keen on the finish. Like I was surprised by it. There were a couple elements of the submission that I looked at and I was like, okay, did the producer go through that? Like when Gunther has Jey Uso flattened out with a choke, which you ain't getting to the ropes, buddy. Hate to tell you, you ain't getting to the ropes there. And they did. I do like that they protected Gunther heavily up until the tap out. It was like power bomb, super kick, like 3 or 4 Uso splashes, spear, all that, everything. I don't mind Gunther tapping out in general. I'm just like, when has Jey Uso ever tapped anybody out? At least they set it up pretty heavily, but I'm interested in your thoughts on this.
Well, it felt like they were trying to tell one story and then they shifted a little bit in it. Because I thought in the beginning they're trying to tell the story that Jey Uso thinks he can power Gunther around with the body slams and with the power bomb and all those other things. To me, the energy of this match didn't get going until Gunther started doing the chops. And that's always a good move for him to start doing that. The chokeout I didn't mind in the realm of it was expected because that's what he did to his brother. And I get that. And I saw
you know what? It's kind of something that slipped my mind. That's a good point.
I try to have them, Sean Rossap.
Occasionally.
I agreed with the poster though that maybe he tapped out a little bit too quickly, and that was an opportunity to tell another story. In that Gunther's not used to being put in submissions like that. Perhaps I thought that might have been a lost story point that they could have done right there. Overall, though, didn't mind it. I saw people who were angry at this ending because they didn't want like a technical move done on Gunther to begin with, and it's just like, well, no, they just set that up. I think they just set it up. If they had set that up a couple weeks beforehand, we'd all be going, it was genius. But since there's only like a week in between him choking out Jimmy and now Jey choking Gunther out, it doesn't resonate as much. It's not the point. There was a lot of storytelling that was a little rough, not in the match, but in the lead up to the thing, because there was a lot of Sammy Gunther within this story that felt like it was kind of repetition at times.
So this will be a thing that I bring up a lot on this show, like where I think they could have done a lot better with the build. He could have called Jey Uso a one-trick pony and said, your one trick isn't even a wrestling move. Like, it's just, just yeeting. Like, I don't have to worry about you submitting me. I don't have to worry about you knocking me out. He's like, even your moves aren't your moves. Like, Jimmy Snuka's move or your dad's move or Roman's move or anybody but yours. So then
or you're a
Jey,
tag team wrestler. You're not
yeah,
really main event Jey Uso. You're a tag team with your brother. Stop this. You're a
yeah,
fraud.
yeah, that, and I think they could have leaned into that a little bit more. I didn't mind, and also like Jey Uso never submitting anybody. Gunther could say, I don't even have to work on that part of my game. And the thing I
Yeah.
like about Gunther is he is like the most accountable guy when he loses. He's always just like, he got me. Here's how he got me. Sucks. I'll do better. I love that approach for me. So,
Yeah.
I'm interested in the creative moving forward for Jey Uso. I would have him, first off, I think Braun Breaker loses the IC title tomorrow without getting pinned and probably moves up in that direction. But I would also have Jey occasionally go on like a redemption tour. Like he's got like survivor's guilt from the bloodline, and he starts to give title shots to some of the people that he cost the title along the way, and probably gives one to his brother as well. That seems like a Saturday night's main event type of thing, so they can try to undo what they did last year. It feels like the type of thing they would like to do, but I don't know. I'm interested in what you think here.
No, that's great. And you can even like do a thing where he turns heel because he's so desperate to hang on to this thing because he worked so hard for it. I could also just see them putting the belt right back on Gunther at like Backlash or even Monday if they wanted to, and nothing would change. Nothing would change because Gunther's an awesome champion. And it's not that I don't see main event Jey Uso as a champion. It's that, yeah, he has all these moving parts, and really what you need to do is put the guys like Drew back on going after him. The guys who have felt screwed by that original Bloodline storyline need to be lining up and paying their money to Adam Pearce and saying, oh, he has the belt now? Oh, I want a piece of that. Give him to me.
I mean, it would make an awful lot of sense for him to move to SmackDown and Cody to move to Raw with Netflix upcoming draft. And then you've got Drew right there to go after him.
Drew, you got Priest, you have
yeah. I think they're going to kill it tomorrow. I think they're going to prove points tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Like, we also had New Day as the Bet Online AG favorites over War Raiders. They should have built this way, but this was promotional malpractice in how they didn't build this match, Jeff. Kofi Kingston and Ivar came up in the same place. Jeff, maybe you can remind me, what were some of the things that New Day said to Big E as they booted him out of the group?
Oh, God. I didn't realize I had to remember all this stuff.
Maybe something about a broken neck, right? Maybe
broken neck, yes. And that's why they were...
Is there anybody in this match that notably sustained neck injuries?
I believe commentary put it over a number of times that both War Raiders had suffered neck injuries, Sean Ross said.
But in the build-up, I'm like, why isn't that War Raiders can sympathize with this man.
Yes.
Sympathize.
They should have actually targeted them. They should have seen, oh, look, two Big E's over there. We'll take them out because they have weak necks too, and they can work in the same office job. As
easy
Big
targets.
Yes.
Easy targets.
You're exactly correct.
They could say, we're going to get you on those pre-shows real quick, buddies.
Say hi to Big E for us. That should have been like an ending line of one of those promos.
I saw some of the and I hate to say this, the preliminary ratings for this match, and it did not jive with what I saw at all because I enjoyed this match. It was very fast-paced. Ivar does things that no functioning human being his size should be able to do. That spin kick, which is it's a spinning leg lariat is what it is. It's more than a wheel kick, is fantastic. I thought that New Day continue to add to their offensive arsenal, like a decade in. I love the decapitation stomp. I love that. Ivar was really highlighted in this match. How'd you feel about it?
Big fan of fat guy moonsaults. That's always a big thing with me. Love those. New Day are sneaky, great callback artists in terms of heeldom because their gear tonight which I noticed it, and then Wade Barrett noticed it.
Yeah.
But the Giant Gonzalez homage, when he had the worst match, one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history at WrestleMania 9 in Las Vegas. That is what he is most famous for. That Undertaker Giant Gonzalez match in Las Vegas. And to do an homage to that coming to the ring is some next level heel stuff. I liked that they were working over the back and necks of the War Raiders. I think that should have been brought up a lot more by the commentary team. Also, is that, oh my God, they're trying to hurt these guys. They're trying to put them out like their friend Biggie. The same point you had before in the bill. They should have even done it in the match, where it's like, look at how vicious they are now. I mean, they've said that, oh, they have an attitude change and stuff like that, but really, really kind of almost be like Michael Cole can pull this off. McAfee can't, but Cole could put off the, I'm disgusted by the fact that their friend can't wrestle anymore, and now they're going to try and do the same thing to every other wrestler that happened to their friend. That kind of thing.
Maybe next year they can do the Terry and Kat attires from their WrestleMania match. Stink face match, I believe it was, since they're going after the worst matches.
Oh, Lord.
That's what I look forward to. They hit the bricks right after this, like they darted up the ramp. I was disappointed with how the War Raiders were booked as champions, but listen, pretty soon they'll be able to add a third to their group, and they can be the Vikingo experience. I'm so excited.
Yes. Oh God, that again. Did they do that once already with somebody?
Them?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Them. They were the Viking experience.
Oh, that's right. Oh, geez.
They get to be the Vikingo experience now. They can add Vikingo to their group. Jambeard says, not a fan of WWE buying AAA. Feels like a Vince during the territory days. I guess we can get that Logan Paul, Alberto Del Rio for the Mega Championship at Worlds Collide. So over the last number of years, 4 or 5, every time Del Rio would bring up that he was in talks with WWE, a WWE higher up would give me very colorful, like on background comments saying there's no effing way. There's no chance. And I don't know, man. So here's what happened. I asked, and to be fair, Del Rio is like jacked now, so maybe they look at him differently based on that. People that are in AAA claim that Del Rio told them the WWE was considering him for the Rumble one year, and I was like, if they were considering him, he would have been in the Rumble. Like that's that. So again, it's, if you want to take his word for it, which has been the word that WWE has debunked, interesting. But I also believe he's like he's pretty influential there as well. So
I think it's one of those things where he wants to be re-signed, and so he says they're interested in me, and hopefully people start talking, and then maybe it hits somebody that goes, well, let's take a look at him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, Rusev's coming back. Sheamus isn't doing anything. Wade Barrett's on commentary. We can get the band back together.
Oh my God. Oh no. Not that. Not League of Nations.
League of Nations. Oh, the homage to Woodrow Wilson.
I will say, like, I know that NXT has done the Worlds Collide branding for a while, but immediately when I think AAA Worlds Collide, I think Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr against Octagon and Santo, one of my favorite tag matches of all time. If you guys haven't ever went out and watched that, like, listen, Art Barr, horrible guy, but what a tag match that was. That was one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen.
And also Louis Spicoli as Madonna's boyfriend in that 6-man. I
was so confused as a kid watching that tape. I'm like, wait, is he really Madonna's boyfriend? And I was like, and why does he look so much like Sonny's lackey? But Tin Ruza says, F it, might as well buy TNA outright. Hashtag free Bailey. I mean, listen, you are going to get some people on the free Bailey train soon, if based on things, but
Mercedes tweeted something too. Like call me.
I don't think that purchasing TNA outright would do well for, the fact that they were taken to court for antitrust as well.
Right.
And had to settle with MLW for it. Jake from Windy City says, hello, SRS and Jeff. WWE should really consider moving the Hall of Fame to another night. Having it after a 3-hour SmackDown and delaying it 2 hours is so inconvenient. Jeff, I woke up this morning here in Lexington, Kentucky, and the first thing I did was go to WWE's Twitter and looked for their last Hall of Fame tweet, which was a couple minutes shy of 4:30 a.m. Eastern time, Jeff. I learned that Triple H did a 1 hour and 5 minute speech.
If the NXT kids wanted to pull an all-nighter, they could have then just gone to the show. The call time was 6, right? Or 5?
Between 5 and 6, yeah.
Right. I agree, especially if we're going to get... Now, look, I think they've been better because I still remember the days of the 5-minute speeches where they gave both funks combined, they put them on a clock and they played them off, for this big moment type thing. And that's great. But yes, I wouldn't do it after I'd possibly even do it before a SmackDown or something to do it that way. I know that that's not the best thing. There has to be other ways to do this.
Dollars this year, man. They're just trying to bring in that money.
Well, but I mean, you also have to be respectful for the old heads who both want to see the people getting put in the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Famers themselves. You can't be getting, these 60 and 70-year-old guys out till 1, 2 in the morning and things of that nature.
Saw a thread of people falling asleep.
And the other thing, I think they kind of gave short shrift to Ivan Koloff, who held that triple WF belt when it was a big deal to hold that triple WF belt.
Oh, man. We got Moonman Ed saying, any word what's going to happen to the Exoticos from AAA, because I'm trying to see a Pimpinela versus John Cena match. You're not going to see a Pimpinela Escarlita versus John Cena match. I am sorry. You're not with that attitude.
Not with that attitude, you're not.
I guarantee you we will not see that. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I'll try to find out.
Masquerita Sagrada versus John Cena. Yes. Come on, baby.
Tinruz says, I wanted to see Vikingo, Best of Super Juniors in New Japan. It sucks. Well, I mean, New Japan's got their deal with CMLL anyway. Jambeard says, with AAA now part of WWE, do you think this is the first step to a new version of Triple H's NXT global plan where WWE could buy Noah or Progress? It's interesting, Jeff. I'm going to go Windhorst here. Some interesting moves are being made, and these are all, I want to make this clear, all hunches and just noticing.
I think they're going to buy
a gentleman by the name of Tetsuya Naito is leaving New Japan when they thought he was going to be a lifer. I was outright told AEW don't want him. He probably ain't going to pass the WWE physical. And then New Japan talent were like, yeah, he's probably going to go to Noah. And I'm like, huh. He could go to Noah, not have to worry about WWE's medicals. WWE could effectively run WWE Japan there. It's something Kate and I were discussing today. And I was like, it'd be quite a name to add to that, even though he's so far beyond washed that it's unbelievable.
Right.
It's just
I'll make another call here. If the AAA relationship does well in this first year, Conan, Hall of Fame next year.
Oh, yeah. Conan should be in the Hall of Fame.
Or maybe Max Moon.
Conan should be a Hall of Famer in my estimation. He made incredible contributions, and yeah, he should be a Hall of Famer if a lot of other people are. DNC Digital says, want some money with Bet Online AG. That's what we love to hear. I'll never forget the first show we did with Bet Online. I cost them some money, Jeff. I said, guys, you need to bet on Samoa Joe at World's End. Underdog pick. And I had so many people say, you paid for my New Year's drinks. You paid for my New Year's party, etc. That's what I like to hear. We were 6 out of 7 tonight. He says, should they have NXT on Wednesday? Hall of Fame on Thursday to avoid exhausting both fans and talent staff. I think they did the Hall of Fame when they did it this year because they're on the West Coast. They ain't doing the Hall of Fame after SmackDown next year in New Orleans on the East Coast, buddy. They ain't doing that.
No, but they like to do it after one of their shows because they're afraid of having a half full audience.
Yeah. Also true. Jade Cargill was the betting favorite and defeated Naomi. I like Naomi's caution gear. I like her proceed with caution catchphrase. Jeff, it is not often that a performer has a breakout singles run like a dozen years into their television career. And on their second run, Naomi very much carried this match, and it was way better than I had envisioned it being. Like, I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. Now, there were definitely some awkward spots. There's one that I thought they played off very well, where Jade was just standing there waiting on Naomi.
Yeah.
But then Jade caught Naomi, and commentary very wisely said she was playing possum. You could see it. And I was like, okay, great way to play that off.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was the phenomenal electric chair power bomb that made me jump off of my couch, where she switched from an electric chair to a power bomb and just waited there, presumably to make sure that Naomi was still breathing, as the referee grabbed her wrist and made sure that she was breathing, then went into her finish. Referee, first off, should have been counting there. The referee's like, not the finish, brother, type of thing. That was, I don't know who that's on there, because Jade was holding her there. So, I mean, you just count the pin regardless. That's what made that look awkward, is the ref didn't count the pin. But there were some spots that I was very surprised by. I love that apron face buster. Really dug that. The wheelbarrow bulldog off the top, the catching jackhammer. You can tell they put a lot of thought into this match, and Jade is trying to, she's trying to improve. How'd you feel about this one?
I want to go back to you talking about Naomi, because I think she's cutting the best promos of her career.
Well, she is by far.
Well. And it's also one of those things where a lot of people like to say, well, she's a good actress for a wrestler type of thing. I think she's actually doing some good acting here for an actor type. I think some of these promos have been absolutely fantastic stuff out of her. I thought this match was good. It's interesting because one of the knocks against Jade in AEW is that they never made her sell, and she was selling throughout this match, and it wasn't bad. They've been addressing some of her weak spots. Now, it's kind of interesting. I guess she's decided to kind of go the Brian Cage route, where it's going to be, I'm going to do tremendous feats of strength despite the physics involved in any way. And that could cause trouble for people who aren't, who aren't Naomi. But overall, and someone mentioned this was the other note I had. Yeah, Jade needs to try out her gear before she actually goes out and does it in a match. This has been a problem with her on major pay-per-views in the past. It's a problem on pay-per-views now. But overall, it's in WWE. She doesn't have to do much. She's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And they know how to book powerhouses there. She doesn't have to put on the 4.25 star match necessarily, or she'll lose the fans. All she has to do is slam people hard. And she did that. And yeah, there were a couple of missteps here, but she's also still sort of green. You have to remember. I mean, yeah, she's been in the business a while, but I mean, she's not working
nearly
the road
as green by now. She shouldn't be. I mean, I'll say that, but I mean, there was a reason they had her on taped matches for a long time. There was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am over the moon about how Naomi has performed during this. And again, I enjoyed this exponentially more than I thought I was going to. And
I thought this over-delivered. I thought this over-delivered in many, many ways. And I thought Naomi's heel work was part of that too.
They were very smart about the audience too. The audience wants to see something new. They want to see something different they haven't seen out of these women. They want to see something they're not going to see on Friday Night SmackDown if they have this match. And that's what they saw tonight. And I thought that they did a wonderful job. And Naomi, Like Naomi took control, took charge, and really ran with the ball. I thought and Triple H was very transparent about it, refreshingly transparent. He's like, we didn't know when we were getting Jade back, so it became very difficult to tell this story. And then when they told the story, I thought they did it phenomenally. The reveal of Jade going after that, even Jade like mouthing to Liv, I know it wasn't you, before she went after Naomi. Bianca's reaction in the chamber, the Naomi Bianca interaction after that, and then the camera work when Jade came out to get her. They did really, really great with this. And I hope that there is a what next for Naomi as well, because she's been great.
I think a lot of what's next for Naomi may depend on the ending of that triple threat tomorrow.
It's fair. Dead Kirby 22 says, hot take, after Natalya's great Bloodsport showing, she should be women's or IC champ. Her versus anyone is main event TV. Listen, man, I have a very soft spot for a lot of things here. The Hart family has always been very kind to me. Josh Barnett, my coach, is trained with Josh Barnett and Billy Robinson, and I got to spend some time with Billy Robinson myself. So Bloodsport, very near and dear to my heart. I've done a lot of media with Natty, and we talked a lot about catch wrestling and the lineage of catch wrestling and how people are trying to keep that alive. So I knew what she was going to do on Thursday. I knew she was going to go out there and try to show people that, yes, she is a nice human being, but she's a fucking heart. Like, that's what she is. And that's what she did. And I could not be happier. A very, very intentional theme song, Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of, which I thought was very interesting politically this week, and as far as politically in her wrestling career. But Jeff, I don't know if you got to see that, but I was stoked about Natalya this week.
I haven't, but every time she's been lent out to an indie or something like that, she absolutely kills it in a different style that she hasn't done before.
Oh, buddy, I scheduled an interview with Kenzie Page immediately after they got into that fight after the match. It looked great. Great.
And it's one of these things where she'll get that buzz doing the non-WWE stuff at WWE. I mean, especially when the old man was still there, would decide, okay, we're going to give her a 3 or 4 week push here, but they're going to make her do the crap that didn't get the wows on the indies and stuff. It's just back to Natty doing cat stuff and good matches, but nothing like the spectaculars. I heard about the Bloodsport match. I was just like, I'll have to watch it. She is great. It's just one of these things where they don't want to use her all that much on the main roster. They love doing this stuff, for goodwill and letting her kind of do her art on the indies, which is great. But it's just like one of those things where it's kind of like, and people have been saying this for years about Natty. I mean, even before I started doing podcasting long ago, it was just like, well, if they just gave Natty a chance to show what she could do, she'd be awesome. And then they never give her the chance because she's always stuck doing dumbass gimmicks or farting or whatever. And you're just like, no, let her be a killer for once. Let's see that. I want to see killer Natty.
I do
especially if she does it to Maxine Dupree, which would be fantastic.
I want to see people on the women's roster cutting a promo like, no, we wanted her the way that she was because we knew what she could do and didn't want to deal with that. Tin Ruza talks about go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, give me the Shayna Baszler semi-shoot fight type of thing.
So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I look at that and I'm like, man, they could work them as a shooter tag team, and that would have been really great. Also, there was a beautiful takedown sweep transition into a top wrist lock that CM Punk would have loved to have had in that main event tonight. But we got some AAA super chats. Make sure you get in your super chats and humper chats, guys. K. Dot says, you ain't a colleague, you're a colonizer. DNC Digital says, is the library talent contracts involved? Well, there's a lot of people in AAA not on contracts, from what I understand. Says any that work with AEW may be impacted. I mean, yeah, they're not going to, I don't think they're going to be sharing talent with AEW anymore. Should Gunther have waited a tap to maximize the moment?
He should have
Yeah.
struggled a bit, but you could also, like I said, you could have also told the story that he was surprised by this and got scared and just tapped.
And Luis notes that the only one that was with AAA in AEW was Commander, and he effectively left like 10 months ago. Well, Bet Online had Jacob Fatu correctly predicted to win the U.S. title. This was the one that I got wrong because I thought that Solo Sikoa would cost Jacob Fatu and would be off to the races there. Interesting to note, Jeff, Solo Sikoa has never had a WrestleMania match. 3 years he's been a part of WWE on the main roster. Never a Mania match. Jacob Fatu won. I enjoyed this too. That BFT was very nearly the spot I like to call the overly ambitious athletic LA Knight spot that you see about once every pay-per-view match, where you know it's something he's capable of. He has hit it before, but just in the moment, something happens. But it looked great. And it's not easy to make that finish look great to begin with. So, the only issue I had wasn't an issue with this match. It's an issue with like the placing this match on this night or the agenting. You had 3 people doing moonsaults on this show.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe spread those out a little bit. But Jacob Fatu is one of those guys that the first time you see him, even if you don't know what his last name is, you're going to go, oh, he's going to do something. He's going to be somebody. And that's what that is. LA Knight, I could have seen LA Knight kicking off night 2, winning, and it being like the night 2 version of Yeet, Yeet, Yeet. And, the crowd's partying and everything. But how'd you feel about this one?
I have a soft spot in my heart for LA Knight. He was around here doing like improv shows and stuff like that with the wrestling comedy community out here. I also have a friend who was a neighbor of his, so he always asked me, how's my old neighbor Sean doing? And I told him tonight, got killed by a werewolf. And he goes, a literal werewolf? No, just the guy they call the Samoan werewolf.
Samoan werewolf, yes.
Jacob Fatu is one of my favorite people to watch because he uses his body as a weapon. And I love those types of people. I love it's like he's not Vader, but he's close. And that's why I love him so much. And LA Knight fascinates me because he got over with the catchphrases. He was a merchandise mover at first when he was up there. And he takes, I think, an undue amount of crap.
Yeah.
For his matches. He's not Will Ospreay. I get it. But he does the punch kick high spot type. I mean, his high spots tonight were very clean.
They're very good.
I thought tonight. I thought he had a really good night.
The punches and kicks are the punches and kicks that are up near the top in WWE. He has perfected those things to a level of which they don't look bad.
And he is a guy in that slot where he has, look, he's not going to get world title shots necessarily anymore unless it's on a B pay-per-view. But he has enough audience goodwill where people want to kind of see him win, and you can have him win at any time. Like, I thought there was a chance he might win by pulling out his old bag of dirty tricks as a heel to fool Jacob Fatu, since he was beat down so hard on SmackDown. But this was what it needed to be. Jacob Fatu, he got some from the babyface. It wasn't a total squash, but then in the end, the new monster got the title, and now we can move on to bigger and better things. I thought this was exactly what it needed to be, and I enjoyed every moment of it. I love Jacob Fatu, and LA Knight was fine in this match, and he was quite good, I thought, at times.
I've been a big LA Knight guy since Facts of Life with Eli Drake. Like I had those pet buttons that people try to coach their cats into touching to tell them when they get fed. And ours just said, dummy. Yeah. I was
on the stick. He was always great. And I was just, you had to push against the internet critics who are like, oh, all he's doing is a rock stone cold hybrid
Yeah.
type in the delivery type. No, he did his own thing and he made it his own. I mean, sure, I mean, yeah, sure. Some people do good impressions, but the best steal at times. And I had no problem with it. If it gets you over, who cares?
DNC Digital says, question about pins. If someone breaks up a pin, do they stop the count just from the interruption? I ask because sometimes the one being covered is still technically covered with their shoulders down. Well, that's what they do. Whether or not they're supposed to, I don't know. I'll ask one of the referees that I talked to, but that is what they do regardless. Whether or not it's what they're supposed to do, I don't know. I want to have a series of like answering questions like that. The number of people that I always hear saying, oh, well, why is there a rope break in a no DQ match? Because it's not a false count anywhere match. You can still be outside the ring. You're not getting disqualified for doing a hold in the ropes, but you can't pin somebody outside the ring there. El Grande Americano defeated Rey Fenix, who was a sub for Rey Mysterio. And you boys at FightfulSelect.com today were told by people in WWE, it's touch and go. We'll see. But they said, if he gets replaced, it'll be Rey Fenix or Dragon Lee. It was Rey Fenix.
It should have been Dragon Lee if you're going to do this, but yeah.
Hear me out.
Okay.
On SmackDown, Dragon Lee eliminated Karrion Kross from the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Karrion Kross leaned in and said something to Dragon Lee after that, and Dragon Lee nodded to him. This needs to be part of that. Dragon Lee is now upset that he got skipped over for the shiny new toy.
Yeah, overall, I wouldn't mind this being Rey Fenix, but the story needed El Grande Americano to win this match, and so it's one of those things where I'm a little disturbed, and disturbed's the wrong word for it, but it's the only word I could come up with right now, in that people are going to now look at Rey Fenix as, another one of those luchadors who never wins type of a thing. That said, El Grande Americano, the video prior to the match, the videos introducing him. I am here for this unrepentant stupidity, Sean Ross Sapp. I love it. I don't understand how people got that worked up about it when the whole point is he's an ugly American doing cultural appropriation. I understand that politics are fraught right now.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that this is just stupid professional wrestling heat. And
largely satire about those things.
And I love that his theme music is Stars and Stripes Forever, played by a mariachi band.
Yes.
That is just the best. It's such a dumb and I'm also big proponent of masked wrestlers using metal in their masks. Dates back to I remember Doom being the first to do it against the Steiner brothers in that. So I always loved that kind of move. Although I think the way they're going with it is they're just going to get continually ridiculous with the bump in the head in terms of the size of the metal until it's just not able to be explained away. But I liked the match. I loved the explanation that Phoenix hurt his foot by kicking him in the head and hitting the piece of metal, because I didn't even think about that until they said it on the commentary. I went, oh, that's great. That's really, really cool. Unfortunately, he then did the ankle lock on the other foot. But other than that, Chad Gable's going to have a hell of a, and I do like announcers going, that's not Chad Gable. I like that. I like leaning into the heeldom of the whole thing. But
what I liked was that Gable was in the Andre last night. The guys who don't have a Mania match.
Yes. Vikingo and Gable's going to slap, though. It is.
Like we look back at Kurt Angle had a beautiful moonsault that never hit.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar had a shooting star press
that never hit.
That is unlike most people do it. Most people do it, and you'll notice it if you watch it now. most people do it where they flow a different way and they tuck their neck when they do it. Brock just launches himself in the air, does a revolution, and falls flat down. You had Shelton Benjamin, who was able to do a 450, and Chad Gable tonight did a 450 senton. And as Andrew Everett pointed out on Twitter, that's a move you do once, and you're like, that sucked, that hurt, not doing that again.
But it's Mania, and this is the time to do those moves.
Exactly. I remember forever, Matt Morgan, like people heard that he could do a moonsault, and he was always like saving it for Bound for Glory, and that moment never came, and he never did it. It never happened, and I'm still bummed.
There was a rumor that the Big Show could do a moonsault, and he was waiting for the right time to do it. He was going to possibly do it on a Mania if they could have. Oh no, God no.
Maybe on the Jericho Cruise next year, he'll do it. But yeah, I loved the. Now I will say this: El Hijo del Vikingo has been a part of WWE for like 2 hours, and they already completely shortened his name to Vikingo, which is funny. He helped out Phoenix after the match. That's interesting. Good, nice little integration there. It was funny when they were like, hey, every luchador, everybody who has ever wrestled in Mexico, please join us at the table. We are going to make this announcement. But this was, a fun match. This was, basically a Raw match, but that's okay. There should have been some other stuff on this, but we'll see how this one continues.
I thought Phoenix was good too. I was a little afraid he might have actually gotten hurt on like that dive on the outside because he was grabbing it, and I'm just like, oh God, here it comes. Time to put him in Money in the Bank so he could get put out for 9 months.
Guys, leave a thumbs up on this video if you are not done talking about wrestling after this post show. FightfulSelect.com has an additional post show with Alex and Kate Sour Graps. They will be much more negative than we are. Dematic, the producer, says, how high of a ceiling do you think Tony D'Angelo has on the main roster with his current character and faction? Limited upside with the character, but with because
they've done all the stories on NXT with the character. That's the problem here.
There you go. He's fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
He's really good. Unless they find something to sort of switch it up a little bit. Like, I think I could see them being like an APA type gimmick where they're hired to do hits on people, things like that could do well. I think that type of gimmick would work well. I remember somebody had pitched that like for Jessamine Duke when it was clear that the in-ring wasn't going to work that well. It's like, okay, big, tall MMA fighter goes and beats people up. They wanted her to be like the fixer type of thing. MXM were going to make themselves that for a while. By the way, MXM, I got sent a video of them publicly celebrating the former Max Dupree's title loss on stage. Some grudges never die. But yeah,
I just might do a reboot with him. Something brand new on the roster. Yeah. I mean, he's good. He's good enough. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we've done every single Mafia story that we can think of in here. Now we're going to bring up the Mafia guy. We're not going to have anything for creative for him to do.
I got it. Now that they're doing AAA, he can be El Hijo del Muhammad Hassan. Now that Ciampa has shaved his beard and he can be the lawyer again. There you go. I mean, listen.
His name is like Nick Penmanship or something.
Based on what we saw out of Tessa Blanchard's last pay-per-view match, maybe El Hijo del Tully Blanchard would be the appropriate way to go. DNC Digital. I saw the email, by the way. It will I'll check it out, but we're progressing slowly on Fightful Espanol. And obviously this is a wild week. But Joseph Rockford says, will Vaquer work for AAA after they platformed and defended her ex-abuser? How will Alberto being AAA champion work with Saraya wanting back and having a lot of friends in WWE? WWE didn't think. I mean, Saraya was one of the reasons why they had told me years ago they were not going to work with Alberto. They said that they would never put her in that position. Luis highlights and says something real quick. He says, I want to make this clear regarding the defense of Vickers' ex-abuser. There was a protest done by a talent contracted to AAA, including his family, and this is after he was arrested for attempted femicide. It was not something organized by AAA. It was something independent from the company.
I could see them just getting rid of Del Rio.
Yeah, that seems like the ideal situation, although, he claims they've been talking. We'll see. We'll see.
Feels like...
Listen, Luis is screaming no, but this is actually a better idea. Jeff, Last Ride says it. El Grande Americano to be the next AAA mega champion.
Sure, they could have Graves' brother be with him too, Sam Adonis. And
so I know Sam Adonis, like, he's been wanting to work WWE and all that stuff. I know his brother's been wanting to wrestle. This may legitimately be the best possibility for Corey Graves to get back into the ring. Like, if he says, yeah, I'll go down there and tag with my brother and do some stuff, I think that could be possible as well.
Look, ugly American gimmick in Mexico could possibly, even without going full on, like, they've had racist gimmicks down there. Let's be honest with you in terms of Americans saying, we don't want you foreigners coming up over our border, blah, 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 blah. It's like, this is a little bit better than that. But it's playing on the same kind of tropes, but Chad's great. He'd be great doing this kind of stuff. In fact, you could possibly have him do it so well that he turns babyface out of it and he embraces the lucha culture.
That was hitting my head earlier. Love for Boost says, is Bayley really injured, or did plans change to have Becky replace her? She's not really injured. I don't know if it's going to be Becky. I assume it's going to be Becky, but this has been the plan for a couple weeks is what I was told. Ryan says, kind of want Dragon Lee to win a mask versus mask match. Yes, the luchador that does unmask El Grande Americano should get a little bit of a push. What I would kind of like to see,
it's gonna be Ray.
It's gonna be Ray.
Totally
somebody does take off his mask in the ring, but all the other luchadors are like, no, that's not cool either. It's not cool for anybody to do that. Even you. Jambeard says, for me, LA is very much a modern day Macho Man. Yes, there's great phrases in the charisma, but his skill set is pretty similar. Great high spots when he does them and has great strikes.
Here's your joke, by the way. AAA is going to be nothing but 20 guys doing promos, complimenting Ray Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Because of the only two luchadors.
Everybody's going to do the Three Amigos now. Everybody. Yeah. And the shimmy. As far as the LA Knight comparison, like, listen, I think that LA Knight is better than most people give him credit for. Mm-hmm. Is he a little like clunky at times? Sure. But what he has more than makes up for it. And Simmons says,
talk over a guy that can work any day of the week.
And Simmons says, I was scared for Chad on that moonsault when he hit his head. Looked great, but let's put that in the Brock shooting star file and not do that again. I think he'll be all right. He'll only do that on big, that specific spot.
Luis says they're already doing that with the promos at AAA.
Oh, no. My God. Well, Shawn Michaels announced 61,467. It was written in a giant card in his hand.
This promo. Man. God, this is the most insincere. I don't want to be here right now, but this is part of the show promo. Why couldn't Hunter do this one too?
He's really the guys. No, really, I don't want to.
Yes,
guy there. We are getting some presser notes because listen, guys, Triple H is out there talking, and we're not going to have you up till 4:30 in the morning like Triple H because I know you all have got to get your sleep, and helixsleep.com/Fightful is going to help you guys out. They're going to have a great Memorial Day sale coming up soon. But let me tell you guys about Helix Sleep. During the pandemic, I needed a change in my sleep. I had a slab of memory foam and it just was not doing good for me. I would wake up with lower back strain and it would really affect me because I was sitting down throughout the day. So I was in a lot of pain. I decided to invest in my sleep. I wanted to spend on something that I knew was going to work, but it was the pandemic and I didn't want to go roll around on a mattress that, well, let's be real, somebody in Kentucky was already rolling around on. Not for me, not for you, boy. But I also wanted to make sure that I got the right type of mattress. So I looked up the top reviewed mattresses, found stuff on Wired, on GQ, Good Housekeeping about Helix, found all their reviews, over like 20,000 5-star reviews. But what I liked the most was you could take an online quiz and get matched up to the mattress right for you. They have ones that align your spine, ones that cool you down, one for plus size sleepers. They check out how you sleep and what makes you comfortable, and they find the perfect mattress for you. It comes with a 100-night risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. If for some reason you don't like it, which will not happen, they will come and pick it up for you. They have great financing options, and again, that risk-free trial. There's no way you can afford to not invest in your sleep. Ideally, you're spending at least a third of your life in bed, maybe a little bit more if you're up to some wild stuff as well. But helixsleep.com/Fightful has you covered. It's been such an incredible upgrade over my previous mattress. And it's just one of the best decisions that I've made. I often say this is the sponsor that I use the most while I'm asleep, or in general. And Nord is the one that I use the most while I'm awake. I love my mattress. I miss it every time that I travel. Got to be honest. Hotel beds are a big reason I didn't go to Vegas this year. Also, I've got a couple of those great dream pillows as well that I miss every time that I travel. helixsleep.com/Fightful. Oh, man. K775 says, interested in the fallout from the main event for all three. Actually, we'll get to that one. I looked ahead before I was supposed to on that super chat. That's my bad. That is my bad. Well, Tiffany Stratton had moved into the favorite spot on BetOnline AG, and Charlotte had been favored before. I had Tiffany winning this. I didn't think there was any way they were going to have Charlotte win this one. But let's talk about. I didn't think so. Yeah.
Oh, I did. I thought for certain that they were going that. Look, man, Triple H loves Charlotte's old man. I just thought she was going to get the record, or she'll be getting the record. So I thought this was just going to be part of it.
I could see that. So we have some news from FightfulSelect.com on the entrance, and I was sent this directly. I was told that her entrance used Proto's AI hologram technology, and it basically created 3 boxes that made you wonder which one was the real Tiffany Stratton, all that stuff. But it's been used, it says, in AI spatial compute platforms, finance, healthcare, education, retail, entertainment, and sports. And it allows people to beam anywhere in the world, but it's the first time it's been used for WWE. They've used it for some other stuff. Tiffany actually sent a comment in about this that we have up on Fightful Select, as well as the Proto founder and chairman, Dave Nussbaum. But man, this was a very cool thing. Very cool.
I thought this was great corporate synergy with Mattel. Also,
and boy, was there a lot of corporate synergy. You boys at Fightful Select reported last week, hey guys, there's a lot of brand deals coming, and people said, oh, great prediction, Sean. And I'm like, no, asshole. No, guys, y'all don't understand. I had people do that. Oh, good one. But you didn't know about AAA. No, I mean a lot of brands tonight.
Did Legento tell you that, Sean Ross?
There you go.
Oh, that'll be great. Did they send you a cheese board to tell you about it too?
Yes. An obscene amount. I ain't played Fatal Fury since I was a child. But I was thinking about Fatal Fury nonstop. But to fire up my SNK Neo Geo is what I'm going to do. They had brand deals all over this thing. But I do want to talk about the build, because I think they unintentionally got into the build that I think they should have done from the get-go, Jeff.
Okay.
Charlotte has a reputation.
Okay, continue.
That's the long and short of it. Whether it be true or not, the fans see her a certain way.
It be true.
There you go. Fans see it a certain way. I had posted on the Fightful account, she can't be the babyface in this feud. She replied, why? I'm like, you're the Yankees. That's why. I know she ain't too keen on me, but phenomenal performer. Respect her immensely. But like, it felt like there were some times throughout this build that she was surprised she wasn't the babyface. And the way that I've always looked at this feud, I think that they should have had that side by side the first week. And Charlotte should have ran over Tiffany. And then Tiffany should have ran into Bayley backstage. And Bayley said, whoa, 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 no beef. You earned my respect in our match. But I'm going to give you some advice. Do not let this woman do to you what she does to everybody else, or you are going to lose at WrestleMania. If you let her hold you down, bully you, and run all over you, you are not going to beat her. And I know that because she has beaten me doing the same exact thing. And then if you get to the next week and that absolute trash fire of a segment, it at least makes sense. But that type of thing should have been scripted to happen anyway. I was saying that from the get-go. And I wish they would have done that. Now, I thought that the physical elements that they got into last week were really good. I thought they followed it up exceptionally well. That's before we get to the match. How'd you feel about the build?
You and I have both spoken to writers with the company that have worked with Charlotte, and we know that she can be hot and cold. That is how I will put it. I'm not saying that she's always difficult. She can be a real sweetheart, according to people that I have spoken to. But there are times, such as, I mean, we've seen it with the belt throwing incident and whatnot, and there was a lot of fallout from that. The problem here was it didn't start out knowing whether or not Charlotte was going to be the babyface or heel. If you remember, she came out to do that first promo, and it felt like she had the opportunity to go either way, depending on how the audience reacted to her. And so she started out as a babyface, and by the end of the promo became a heel, which made everybody just kind of go, which is she? And then she appeared on SmackDown that week to challenge, or to say she was going to be a challenger to whoever. She hadn't made up her mind yet, et cetera, et cetera. And she showed up on NXT, I believe, that week too. And it was kind of a blasé promos both nights where, all right, that sounded a little heelish, but we don't know. And I don't think she knows either. And then we had the sit-down promos between the two of them. And it was obvious to me as a performer that Tiffany had the script.
Oh, yeah.
And it felt like Charlotte was improvising a bit. And I don't know if Tiffany felt unnatural improvising, or she was just trying to be professional and say, I'm sticking to this script no matter what, because, I don't want to get in trouble, or this is the story we've been told to tell. One of the two. But Charlotte kind of came off the comparison I make is Britt Baker on promos, where you will drown against her if you are not quick on your feet and able to put a stop to a verbal burial of some kind. You need to find a way to remain strong in there. And then it got to personal stuff that nobody knew. Like, look, if you follow Fightful Select and you follow people like Sean Ross Sapp, or even me or other people or people online, you know that Ludwig Kaiser and Tiffany Stratton are a couple. I would say 98% of the people watching didn't know that when it came up. That's bad. That's not good promo work. 0-3 in marriages, not good promo work, because nobody knows that stuff. Yep. It has to be stuff within the kayfabe world type of a thing, and it's much easier.
Charlotte has been married like 0.5 times on WWE TV, and I just say that because she was probably at a Hall of Fame with Andrade at some point.
Yes,
but never acknowledged on TV.
Correct. And if it's not acknowledged on TV, it's not real in this world. So you have to do things within this world to build this feud. Now, to me, the way to go, and they eventually got there, was familiarity breeds contempt. And we are a lot alike. And I will say this before we get into the match. Tiffany Stratton earned a lifetime pass from me at Stand and Deliver 2 years ago in Los Angeles when she climbed up that ladder, did a moonsault off of it, and nobody caught her.
Yeah.
And she landed flush on that ground with a thud. Didn't complain.
Tough
Didn't give
woman.
anybody a dirty look. Tough as hell. One of the tough.
She is tough as hell, man.
And yes, this is a little, I'm not going to say this is sexist, but yes, pretty girls who do these types of tough things, I give a lot of respect to. It's not that I don't give respect to others, because trust me, there's a lot of women in rosters everywhere that I love to death. I do love women's wrestling. Pretty girls don't necessarily have to do it. And when they do, you kind of tip the cap and keep going. And I just remember watching that and going, nobody even got a hand on her. They just parted the waters and watched her land. And I just went, if I'm her, I'm going to the back and I'm punching somebody. She didn't. She was more professional than I was.
Speaking of Britt Baker, she might be reaching out to Britt Baker tonight, as Britt is in Vegas. And Ryan says, loved how ugly Tiffany and Charlotte was. Well, listen, chipped tooth, veneer, don't know what the hell anybody's got going on up there, but was something missing? And she posed. She knew she looked badass with it. And I love that. This was very physical. You knew it was going to be that way. Everybody I talked to for FightfulSelect.com said that they didn't feel like concerned about this. They just knew these two were going to go out, beat the living shit out of each other, and do what they could. And I felt like they did start slow. And there was one spot, and I was like, I swear to God, they better not. And it's when Tiffany was ripping off the knee brace, and I said, are they trying to do a double turn? Or not even a double turn, because Tiffany never truly turned babyface, but they didn't do it. Now, there is one complaint I have, and it was about commentary. When Charlotte does the head scissor stomps, there you go, oh, Stephanie Vickers not going to like this. And I'm like, well, she can go back into a time machine to 2015 and not like it when Charlotte did it back then, too. She's been doing this damn move for a decade. She's been doing it for ages. I'm pretty sure Charlotte Flair was doing that in NXT.
I thought Vickers had swiped it from Mercedes. So
there you go. Like, yeah, match. I've seen this move for years. Yeah, anybody that's like tall and a little bit lanky, like that needs a move, I'm like, hey, do this. Not that many people do it. Well, now a lot of people do it. There was work on the knee brace. Again, 3 moonsaults on this show. I feel like the agent should have planned for that, or maybe the company. But this really picked up a lot late. There was the natural selection off the top, and man, they went at it. K775 says, what's next for them? Rematch, not any obvious contenders, or they go their separate ways. Well, there's probably going to be a draft or a shakeup or something like that happens in the coming months. But Jeff, what'd you think of this match?
It did pick up. This was my least favorite match of the night.
Okay.
I liked the beginning of the fight feel. I did like that. Yeah. And it felt like they were trying to be sloppy on purpose there, and I was cool with that. I was just watching.
Was it so much that that it seemed performative that they were sloppy, or was it
a little bit, but it's also one of these things where they said, hey, let's go out and pretend to fight for a bit. And there wasn't communication there. So it was just kind of like, it was sloppy because it wasn't planned out type of a thing. That's what it felt like to me. But
sure,
as I watched the match continue, and it wasn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. It looked to me, and you've done a lot more working than I have. I did not last too long in wrestling school. That Charlotte either was blown up a bit, or she wasn't going up light for some of these lift moves for Tiffany, especially towards the end. And that could be fatigue, that could be whatever. But overall, that's my overall note, is that it felt like Charlotte was trying to wrestle a match that Charlotte from 5 or 6 years ago would have absolutely killed in terms of her physicality, her crispness, her cardio, all those other things. And it felt like, to me, watching this, is that she either still has a bit of ring rust that she needs to get over, or she needs to adapt to new different styles to go with the injuries that she's been receiving. Just a little bit. She's not.
This is her sixth match since coming back, and she came back
yeah,
6 weeks
she
ago.
came
Yeah,
back, and she came back fairly early from a knee injury, from what I recall. She rehabbed the hell out of this thing. I've rehabbed
it was a devastating. Like, she tore a lot of things.
Yes,
she missed a full year, but like, because the thing I hate most in my Q&As, Jeff, it drives me nuts. When you'll see a wrestler that has torn their ACL and they're just not in a wheelchair or crutches 2 or 3 months in, and they're doing the bands and they're strengthening, and they post the video of it, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, they're so far ahead of schedule." I'm like, no, that is exactly on schedule. That is.
I rehabbed a meniscus and an ACL. I know, you don't last that long in crutches or whatnot. You do about a week or two of the machine working your legs so that you don't stiffen up and it doesn't lock up. And then basically you're doing light drills with like tennis balls and bands and light weights. You're doing the elliptical. You're taking it easy. You're following the plan and stuff like that. Like, usually what you'll see is people overdoing it within like 2 months, and then you're going, what the? They think that there's this danger when you rehab your knee, and knees are funny things because sometimes they never come back. But there's this thing where you think you're further ahead than you really are, so you try and stress it a little, and you can. And like, I ended up back at stage 1 because I tried to overdo it too much and trying to get back too quick. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I could see that. But once the knee goes and you have the brace on there, it can be both a safety blanket and a concern for you, but you also can't be the same as you were. You have to know about that. And I think Charlotte's still working a lot of that around too, in terms of the brace. And you've seen this with like Seth. I don't even think wears a brace anymore around his knee. I think he wears a sleeve underneath his thing because it was just such a pain in the ass to do. And
it's horrible to wear in the ring. And honestly,
it's clunky. You could hit people with it, and then that's
dangerous.
That hurts. Yes,
that's the thing. I've seen so many of them split people up and cause stitches.
Austin did it that way.
Oh yeah.
Tegan Knox, I think Tegan Knox was still doing Shining Wizards wearing 2 knee braces.
Oh,
I'm like, God. No, you should not be doing that.
Love for Boost says, watch with my mom tonight. She doesn't understand what a heel is and got really mad every time they cheated. Happy there were no run-ins. That's the best.
I love this note. Yes.
It's the best. I mean,
I miss that. I miss that feeling.
Jambeard's that's the best way to watch it. Jambeard says, if anyone in WWE gets into it for a mega title feud in AAA, I say it should be Cross. Guy could do great work down there. Yeah, I think that's a good shout, honestly. I think he would do really, really well there.
He's been doing great promo work the last 2 months and just doesn't get enough love for it.
He's been like, he understands that. I think that he is not just a supporting character, but he's a supporting character for everybody.
Right.
Everybody. And he is enhancing everybody. And he's in contract here. I hope he gets paid, man. Hope he gets paid.
Get paid.
We had the Hall of Fame inductions. I am going to ask about Lex Luger, guys. I'm going to try to find out. See what I can do. Some notes from the presser. Triple H says he wants to help Lucha Libre grow after the company acquired AAA, and said that he wants to keep AAA's production or presentation as it is. Joe Tessitore says that Seth Rollins declined to be in the press conference. Tiffany spoke about the Barbie entrance and saying that she always envisioned herself making an entrance out of the Barbie box. We have a lot more on Fightful Select about that. She had no updates on the tooth, but said she felt beat up both physically and mentally. Triple H put over Rey Fenix big time and said that Naomi and Jade did a phenomenal job. Tinruza says, want Aunt Pam in AEW. Renee's tweet is great. What do you think her name would be?
Look, I'll just say from people I know in the company, Triple H loves her.
Of course he does. Yeah.
I mean, she's the glue in that division. If you watch, she's still the best bell-to-bell wrestler they have in terms of the women's division. I don't think she's gonna leave. I think Monet's
It's gonna be
going
years
back
anyway.
eventually.
I don't
Yeah,
think so. I don't think so.
and I think she'd go back to Davina Rose probably.
Yeah. I think Mercedes will, well, first off, she signed for quite a while. But just the way that Mercedes talks, I'm sure eventually she'll come back and do something. And I'd love a 4-horsewoman WrestleMania match. I would really, really love that. It should have main evented a year of WrestleMania. Shield should have
Yes.
main evented a year of WrestleMania, but they had such a boner for their part-timers. But I think it's more likely we see Bayley going to AEW than Mercedes to WWE in the next 5 years.
I don't. I think Bayley has a job for life if she wants it. I think after she retires from in-ring, I think she's going to be sent to NXT to train the women.
Hear me out. I think she's got a job for life no matter what she does, because
that's
nobody
true.
would reasonably tell her no.
No, that's true as well.
If she asked Fightful to hire her, I would have to go to Jimmy and say, "Can we compete with this salary?" Like she's everybody loves her, man. Everybody loves her.
Yeah.
Well, I love this damn main event, Jeff. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins, he is risen. It's Easter now, Jeff. Happy Easter.
Yeah. Happy Easter.
Seth Rollins showed it. And Roman Reigns took his sweet time coming out to the ring. And my wife is like, man, he's taking a long time. And I was like, yeah, they got to get living color out there on the stage. And I made the graphic, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
They still fuck.
Living color killed it.
Oh my God.
One of my favorite concerts. And I was just a wee lad. I would think I might have been 16 or 17. Living Color and Fishbone, the Boathouse in Norfolk. And my God, they blew the roof off that dump. They were like, don't get me wrong. The first time they played Punk in, they were great. Yeah. This time they were on their bullshit. They were just like
a decade later. He's sitting there taking selfies with Punk, still rocking that shit.
Corey Glover just taking selfies with him. I mean, all those guys are still, and I saw them on their tour, I think 2 years ago out here. And yeah, man, they still are just, they're one of the more underrated bands in rock and roll, because they had a few hits, but they didn't have a lot of hits. But God, I love
timeless too.
Like, they were so. This might be my second favorite. I think this might be my second or first favorite musical performance at a WrestleMania. I still love
best I've ever seen.
The one with the one with the Wyatt family is still,
because I'm a crack addict. You're like
no.
The album that was so
Here's
bad.
Flow Rider for the 800th time. Jeez.
Oh my God. Hardy, remember him?
Yes.
Jesus
still surprised they couldn't get Peter and Gabriel to do big time that one.
Oh, that was that introduced me to really like Peter Gabriel's music though. I mean, listen, there's a lot of bands that I got introduced to because of wrestling. And I like that they are leaning back into it. They had Machine Head doing the hype video.
The Lady Gaga video was fantastic with Tiffany and Charlotte. I forgot to bring that up too. That thing, that was one of the best hype videos they've done. I mean, I put that up there with My Way and the video between Sasha and Bayley for Brooklyn. I think this is top 5 at least.
We are back in a great era of hype videos, and the CM Punk one with This Fire Burns. Ooh,
yes.
That was good as well. He's reciting his first WWE promo, modern day. And
Roman had some great boots tonight, by the way, too.
Oh, I love
those things were sweet.
Match happened. Paul Heyman is with CM Punk. I love the match, man. They brawl out into the crowd. You see the Shield bomb happen on those announce tables, those Fisher-Price announce tables that they had made for tonight. And then Rollins gets put through as well. We see there are two pretty heavy cinema parts of the match, one of which is something very intentional. WWE has went out of their way to reference AEW and make little, whether it be shots or nods over the last month and a half. It's like there's been an edict where they say, you all can just talk about it whenever you all want. And Rollins says, you don't have me, you don't have Mox, you don't have the Shield, you ain't got shit. You don't have Paul Heyman anymore, and he's going after him.
Yeah, cutting a promo mid-match. I used to call this Sasha Banksing quite a bit.
Yes. But one of my favorite spots was the guillotine into the Northern Lights, where Rollins did that. One of my least favorite spots is when Rollins does a sharpshooter and flips him off, and one of my feeds censored it, and I was like, why?
Yeah, Peacock turned it off for a second and then brought it back, and I go, this is just ridiculous. I'm paying extra for no commercials. I don't.
Yes.
And they're rated R movies on Peacock. I can't see a middle finger on a pay-per-view.
I see dicks on HBO Max all the time. I can't escape dicks on Max. I'm like, guys, the novelty and humor of, haha, it's a dick is gone. I can't even see this now. Come on.
They didn't black out Austin when he did it for the Hall of Fame thing either. So
his is more of a salute. It's like,
yes.
Hey guys, one of those. Not as aggressive. I adored the 3 finisher spot.
Yes.
The spear, the GTS, the stomp, and everybody's out. They constructed that so well. It worked phenomenally. And they ended up in a position where they swerved me at first, Jeff, because you had CM Punk in one corner, you had Roman Reigns in another corner, and you had Paul Heyman there with a chair. And he's looking at who he's going to throw it to. And I thought he would just slide it right in between them over to Rollins, and Rollins would hit them. Instead, they went to CM Punk, and as D-Lo Diggs says, right in the penis.
The moment Heyman came into the ring, both Chris Nova and Brito, my co-host over on Shake the Ropes, and I had predicted that Heyman was going to leave with Rollins after the night was over. The moment he came into the ring to watch his handiwork, I go, all right, here we go. He's going to turn on both of them. And it was and God bless Heyman, because I think he broke his hand when he did it to Roman and hit the chair. I think he broke his hand hitting that chair because it made a nice thing. But yes, right in the ding dong.
Main event level, right in the penis. And as Jeff said, 2 people got turned on tonight. But if you want to be turned on, use Bluechew and the code FIGHTFUL for that main event performance. And I'm talking about right in the penis.
Yes.
No awkward doctor's visits, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You might say, why is that? Because at bluechew.com, when you use the code FIGHTFUL, you meet with an online physician, and if approved, it's shipped straight to your door. It's got the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but at a fraction of the price and in a chewable. It's not about having a problem. It's about having that confidence to put on that main event level performance. Whether it's an Iron Man match or a triple threat, you don't want that confidence to take a hit. So let Bluechew take control. Bluechew and the code FIGHTFUL. We greatly appreciate them. Our longest running sponsor.
Yes. They were here when I was still on.
Yeah, since 2017. Now, CM Punk had, I think, and Seth Rollins had sort of traded the favorite at BetOnline AG, but the prop bet was favored for Rollins to leave with Heyman, which is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Big AB says Heist of the Century Part 2, 10 years later. That was a part of this that I thought was very important. Ryan says WWE going to go 3 for 3 in 3 ways this weekend. Well, buddy, Bluechew.com and the code FIGHTFUL can have you going 3 for 3, whether you're rocking with 3, 6, 9, whatever you got. Ryan says heel Seth with Becky and Becky with Heyman. Sign me up. I would kind of like that too. I wouldn't mind that. Supermo says Sean had the suspicion for a while, but I think Seth cost Cody. He was the reason he won it and will be the reason he loses it.
Yes, that was gonna be that was the prediction I put up right after the show ended.
Jeff,
it's the perfect synergy. Let me go into this a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Quick. After Elimination Chamber, I thought a very clever idea would be that The Rock had offered numerous people in the Elimination Chamber to be their guy. Logan Paul would have taken that deal in a heartbeat. I think Seth should be one of those guys too. I think Seth and Heyman are aligned with The Rock, but not necessarily Cena. It's one of those things where Seth made the deal with the devil to be the next guy once Cena is gone. And that's how they're going to get Cena to be babyface again after they all turn on him too, possibly.
Yeah, I like that. What I loved about what happened in this match was that Seth Rollins is the only person that has been true to Paul Heyman throughout this entire process.
Yes.
We learned that Roman Reigns is just an abusive dick. He was never a babyface. He only went away and then came back to feud with someone less likable than him. He never said my bad. He didn't even say I'm sorry. All he could give, he said yeet once. That's it. CM Punk is an absolute asshole to Paul Heyman. He's letting Paul Heyman just chill out there until he's getting strangled and pushed down by Roman Reigns. Why was he at Raw? Why was Punk at Raw if he was just running out to save Heyman at the end? Was he going to say hi to somebody? He was booked for this show and intentionally didn't show up.
He had Starbucks cards to give.
Yeah, he had to sign some tops. That's it. KE775, I'll get to your super chat. Don't worry. I think that Rollins is the only one that has been a reasonable guy to Paul Heyman.
He's also the more interesting choice. He's the guy who needs the refresh the most. Yes. And I absolutely loved that he used Heyman's line last night. That's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. Yeah, I loved everything about this. This is the second pay-per-view where the ending I absolutely adored. I thought this was just some fantastic stuff. And I love Rollins standing there with his back turned to everything that's going on and just kind of knowing everything that was happening. And then he just reaches out his arm for Heyman to give him the chair. I just thought that was some fantastic staging on his part.
They also sat near each other at the Hall of Fame, which is interesting. Nice. KE775 says, interested in the fallout from the main event for all three. Feels like Seth would become the world champion, but Jey just won it. This, again, is a refresh that is much needed. And Seth wasn't stale or anything. But I want to give credit to Seth for, first off, making sure that he was always involved in the conversation regarding Punk. Because Denise and I sat there 2+ years ago as Nick Hausman straight up asked Seth Rollins about CM Punk. And Seth Rollins was wise enough to answer it as Seth Rollins, not Colby Lopez.
Right.
He did it with it, the ha ha ha, all that stuff. And I've mentioned this before. Nick looked directly at me and Denise like, look at this headline that I'm getting. Can y'all believe he's saying this shit right now? And he put himself in a position to where people thought, correctly, mind you, that he didn't like CM Punk, which he didn't. But Seth is a professional and he worked with him and always had himself in the conversation. I do think eventually you got to get to Roman and Punk one-on-one because there's an awful lot to make Roman look strong that has to be uncorked and scrubbed away as well.
But there's a lot about Seth and Jey that you can do with the whole bloodline fallout too.
Absolutely
true. And having Heyman go, I hated every moment of it. I hated what you guys did to Sami Zayn. I hated what you guys did to so-and-so. And now I have my person. I love Jam Beard's idea on his super chat too. That's fantastic.
Where he says Seth joining yet another corporate stable along with Heyman and Becky could be interesting.
No, the next one they did.
Oh, Rock Cena, Seth, Becky, Heyman. And he says Rock Cena, Seth, Becky with Heyman as the manager could be the corporate Hollywood stable.
They've all gone Hollywood. Seth got cut out of that Avengers movie or that Captain America movie.
Becky got cut out of Eternals too, but she's in Happy Gilmore too.
Yes.
Which I'm very excited about. Yeah, I think that a lot of things coming full circle is great. Like The Rock looks at what helped shape him. And he's like, at the time I didn't think that going corporate was the right idea. And he's like, but the more that time passed, I realized that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. because being the corporate champion set me up for life. Being the corporate champion made me the Hollywood connections that I have to this day. Man.
And now Seth and Becky want what Rock and Cena have. I'm here for that.
Case, actually, N. Simmons says this match saved the night for me. Loved the Jey win, but everything in between felt like a TV episode. TLC would have helped so much tonight. I agree. TLC would have been great tonight.
Or something with the stip. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I think it's okay. You have a triple threat one night, triple threat the next night, car crash one night, car crash the next night, little comedic segment one night, little the next night.
You gotta have a street fight tomorrow between that. I think with Drew and Priest, that's gonna be good. So that'll break up the monotony of just like one-on-ones and whatnot.
Ten Ruza says, is Orange Man coming out tomorrow with the Ula Fala? Listen, if that was just convenient timing based on the EO that Trump made to American Samoa, what a phenomenal piece of promotion WWE got unintentionally by that happening. But when I contacted Las Vegas authorities, they claimed that there was no security set up for such a thing. Don't think the authorities are working me, but yeah, I don't think so. DNC Digital says, sometimes watching your shows, I'll imagine your wife on the phone with a family member when you yell things like, right in the penis. Well, it is almost 1 a.m. now. If she's on the phone with anybody, something horrible has gone on. But listen, she's been with me since before I got into wrestling media, before I got into training wrestling. She has witnessed it all. She was in the back of a altercation that went viral, and just was like, this shit again. She's very aware of how it goes. Listen, my wife has worked a match in the past and was the most over person on the show. So she's very aware of the wrestling business. But Jambeard says, Becky was also on the Rock show. Yeah, she was. I'll ask you this. They've tried to tell me it was Becky's actual voice. Do you think they dubbed that, or do you think it was her actual voice?
I didn't see it. But I had a student who was co-starring with her on that show, who played Lars Anderson. That guy used to be one of my people I coached. Yeah. You
should ask them for me. I've always wondered.
I'll ask.
And I don't want to be insulting and ask Becky. I don't believe in your ability to speak in a New York accent to that level. But maybe it's flattering. Maybe it would be flattering,
Did you see her play Cyndi Lauper?
That was it. The Cyndi Lauper thing. Yeah. But she was at the show tonight, obviously. Anticipation for tomorrow, a little bit high for that. We'll have Fightful Select updates. I will be live on Fightful Select 12:30 or 1. Depends on how my morning goes on FightfulSelect.com. But I thank all of you all for joining. Make sure you leave a thumbs up and all that. Jeff, as we start to wrap up, how'd you feel about the night in total? I thought there were some real high points and then some stuff that I didn't hate.
I thought, you know what? Nothing made me angry watching it. Nothing felt like it wasted my time. I thought it was a fine night of wrestling, top to bottom. Like I said before, it's like the opener I really liked and the closer I loved, so it gave me a high opinion of the show. I was good with this. There was nothing that stunk up the joint either. Everybody worked hard. Everybody did their moves. You saw some things you hadn't seen before. It's a perfectly enjoyable night one of WrestleMania. If you haven't seen the NXT show, go out and watch that tomorrow.
Oh, it was so good. Also, guys, if you haven't seen our TikTok, follow us over there. We've just signed a deal with TikTok. I've gone live over there a couple times. You're going to see a bunch of our shorts. We have really put a lot into our Instagram as well, and Facebook. I am over there debunking the cesspool that is Facebook wrestling news. Listen, some of the dumbest stuff I have ever seen, the dumbest AI drivel that I've ever seen, you can watch me dunk on over there at Fightful on Facebook. But FightfulSelect.com is where I want you guys to go. I've got a Discord over there that I am answering questions in all the time. And before we go, we've got Juan Guzman. I wish of Toronto Blue Jays fame. Says, who do you think wins the fatal four-way match on night 2? And why do you think it'll be Dom? Well, Jeff, if you want to make some quick picks as well, I see this as a very useful match. I've made my predictions a million times, but I think Braun Breaker moves on up to something very important.
Mm-hmm.
Penta might be moving on to a tag team.
Yes.
And I don't see Dom winning. I think he's very close to winning and like almost legitimately earns a win, and Finn takes it from him. And then we're going to start the loving Dom Mysterio era. A babyface run for Dom Mysterio that builds up until he snaps on Finn Balor.
I see Dom pinning Finn and taking over the Judgment Day.
That'd be cool
as
too.
Leader, where it's like now it's like Liv and everybody else loves Dom, and Finn just can't absolutely stand it since it's supposedly his stable. I think that's what happens there, and then eventually we get whoever's going to actually be running it. Might be Malachi Black eventually, but yeah.
I mentioned him earlier, but a lot of people try to compare Dom to Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero for natural reasons.
No.
He always reminded me more of
Art Barr. Yes, yeah. He's very much like Art Barr
for all the right reasons, like not the horrible reasons, obviously.
No, and not the off. Yeah.
Yes. And Dominic is so hilarious. This guy is so funny. But yeah, some quick picks, and Jeff will be back here with us tomorrow night for night 2. Some quick picks for tomorrow night. We got Bianca, Rhea, Io.
Bianca, I think she's never going to lose at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I think that even if she doesn't win, she's not going to get pinned, and they'll rock with, at the very least, she's never been pinned at WrestleMania type of thing, which I think you can market.
And I think Bianca's eventually going to be in cahoots with Naomi against Jade.
Yes. Because they never got physical, did they?
No.
Didn't think so. AJ and Logan Paul.
Boy, I think this match may steal the show, by the way. I think
it'll be AJ's best in-ring WrestleMania match. Shane was okay. Boneyard match was incredible, but not in.
Nakamura was a bait and switch as the best match ever. And I think for that reason, I think Logan Paul should win, but I think AJ's going to win.
Okay. I think Logan Paul's going to win that one. Lyra and Raquel against Liv and Raquel against Lyra and TBA.
This is Becky. I think Liv and Raquel retain. And I think Becky may turn on Lyra afterwards.
And this
I originally thought Bailey, Roxanne, and like Cora Jade would be a stable and get mad about this, but
Well, this show should have absolutely had Chelsea Green versus anybody. It should have had Liv and Raquel against an actual tag team. Should have had Lyra versus Becky in an IC title match. It should have had Bailey versus Roxanne as well.
I agree with all those, but I do think Becky's going to be the partner, but I think they don't win the tag titles.
Priest versus Drew in a Sin City street fight.
Drew, and it's going to slap.
Yeah, it's going to be great. They're going to prove points. Damian won a lot of their interactions last year. Mania, Backlash, then the triple threat as well. It's Drew's turn.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton versus TBA. Who do you think TBA is?
God, could be Rusev.
I'll throw you my pitch in a minute afterwards.
Thought it might be Shane McMahon for a moment too.
Oh God,
they bring him in just to take one. But yeah, I think it might still be Kevin Owens too. I think they may just come and do a walking brawl of some kind. But
listen, I would kind of dig that.
Would it shock you if it was Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, it'd be very shocking to me. It'd be very shocking to me. Kevin Owens, I hope it's a big fat gigantic work or something. Here are my quick options. Nick Aldis, because people would pop for it.
Nick would be good.
I would like Nick. Solo Sikoa, which I don't want, but it's something that they would probably do. Quick, easy, RKO, beat him. I don't know Sami Zayn's health status, but Sami Zayn being the bleeding heart that feels responsible for ending his best friend's career, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or I could see Rusev. And what I would do is I would bring Rusev out. I would have him charge Randy Orton, eat an RKO, and the crowd goes crazy, kick out at one, and then break Randy's fucking back with the accolade.
Like Bane and Batman. No, yeah.
His surgically repaired back, 3-minute match.
The only problem with Nick Aldis as the call there is that nobody in that audience is going to know Nick Aldis's move set, so they won't know what he's setting up for. And they love their conditioning and stuff like that, which is why people were saying, well, it might be this person. I go, well, if the audience has never seen this person, they're not going to respond on the main roster. Yeah. So Rusev feels like the best, or Malachi Black comes out, gives him a blackout kick, and he never gets the RKO just to get the heat. I mean, that
the worst
thing in the world.
They seemed pretty steadfast on Alistair being on Friday, unless it's a big swerve ski,
Okay.
Rhodes and Cena. I think it's got to be Cena.
Yes, this is going to be an overbooked mess, but it's going to be lovely, and it's going to be a story. So
it needs to be overbooked. I've watched John Cena matches in the last 6 years.
And that's fine. It's perfectly fine. That's what I don't need this to be a 5-star classic in any way. I just need this to be interesting, like tonight's main event. I'm good with that. And I think Cena needs to win. I think that's the interesting. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that booking tomorrow, because that
Summer of Cena. Oh yeah, for sure. Tell the people where they can find you besides here tomorrow night. We went 2 full hours tonight.
At Crap Game 13 on X. I also do a show on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network called Shake Them Ropes. Myself and Chris Novembrino take kind of a snarky look at all stateside wrestling, usually AEW and that. And we also pick kind of a flashback match. We call it Vader Club, something that interests us in there. Usually drops sometime during the weekend or on Friday. I also do the post show over on Fight Game Media, Dynamite Show. Myself and Wrestling Observer's Paul Fontaine go on live at 20 minutes about after Dynamite ends. Thorough deconstruction of all things AEW that week. Drops in your podcast catchers for free the next morning, so you can still watch the Fightful post show. I don't want to be direct competition.
I want to thank our wonderful moderator, Luis, who gathered our super chats and gathered the presser notes and all that stuff. I do that so you guys don't necessarily have to do that. I want to check a message from Vicky first off, because Vicky is one of our great subscribers going through tough times. She's mentioning the crappy folding chairs in the audience. I remember she asked if they got them the VFW, but wanted to know what Charlotte gets as a consolation prize for putting Tiffany over. Something I didn't mention, the gear. Do you think that was intentional or not? They both wore the same color gear.
I think it might have been an accidental coincidence, but My joke was I thought that Charlotte was going to come out with a bigger headdress than Megan Bayne.
Oh God!
She saw
yes, and I think that Charlotte will probably try to accumulate an Intercontinental or U.S. title or something like that. Like, I think that would be a nice approach, something to add a little bit of prestige to that. But Vicky, if you got any chats tomorrow, make sure you let me see. Oh, guys, subscribe to Fightful Select Espanol if you speak Spanish. Luis translates all of our stories into Spanish. Got that one in the right amount of time. But we also have an Espanol Twitter. By God, I'm off of here. Got select updates to make. Until next time, we're out.
Bye.
If it ends, guys, it's hit the end stream button, but I think we're still live.
Push the button, Frank.